first sight, the Wattersons just look like your perfect family. But beneath those laughs and smiles is one killer family who'd go at any length to get their way. From Gumball tearing through anyone that gets in his way, to going on a killing spree for all the XP in a game. The Wattersons are not always the angels they pretend to be. But just how many people have the Wattersons killed? Well, today, I'm counting all the kills the Wattersons have racked up, from personal beefs all the way to their just plain stupid murders. I got them all, starting with the kills with different weapons. Now, you'd think by weapons, I'm talking about guns or knives, but in Gumball, it takes it up a notch, finding the weirdest and funniest ways to pull off its kills. Like the time Gumball and Darwin tried every crazy way imaginable to kill Anton, after seeing him die with their very own eyes, just for them to see him the next day unharmed like nothing ever happened. From a quick and painful death by squishing him with a bowling ball, to getting eaten alive by birds, Gumball and Darwin think of the craziest ways to kill Anton. And before you comment how Anton is not a person, as you'll see later in the video, everything in Elmore thinks, talks, and reacts, which basically just makes them a human, just like all of us. So believe me, when Anton proceeds to get killed 8 more times, he definitely felt that. But that's just what's shown, because when they realize they could have just asked Anton, Gumball says this.
Maybe you should have said that before we iced him 50 times in a row.
That would mean they had killed Anton another 40 times off camera, showing that anything could really be happening behind the scenes without us knowing. And just when you think the Anton torture is over, it somehow gets even worse. When they find out they can make their own Anton, Gumball and Darwin create Ant 2. But what starts as a quick experiment turns into a wild search. After they lose Ant 2, the moment Nicole, Richard, and Anais get back from the store. And the way they decide to look for Ant 2, by making even more Anton clones, who, with an IQ of basically 1, starts dropping like flies as they follow Gumball and Darwin's orders without thinking twice. So now that gives you a look at the lengths the Wattersons will go to simply get an answer. But sometimes they don't even need a real person, because even dropping a tiny spoiler is enough for Gumball to take you out. And this wouldn't be the last time they would eat their problems away. In the episode The Burger, Gumball and Darwin face the king of fast food. And no, it's not the Burger King, but Mr. Build-A-Burger, the boss of Joyful Burger, who controls the entire food industry in Elmore. From selling a so-called healthy option that's really just Joyful Burger in disguise, to literally burning down Gumball and Darwin's garden, he'll stop at nothing to protect his greasy empire. But at the end of the day, karma bites him back when Gumball and Darwin serve up the ultimate revenge by simply eating him. Now, I can hear you all thinking, how could these kills possibly get any worse? Well, imagine the Wattersons taking people out by pure accident and walking away like nothing happened. Remember how I said everything in Elmore can think, talk, and react just like any human can? Well, just imagine it being all the things you destroy on a daily basis. That being food, trash, and even the toilets you abuse without thinking. That's Elmore in a nutshell for you. They can't even eat food without wiping entire friends and families off them. And whether that would be killing a character in a video game, or forgetting food in the microwave until it blows up the place, everything in Elmore has suffered the hands of the Wattersons. But don't worry, because they eventually get their revenge in a later episode, when they take over Elmore and show them how it feels to be them. But others were not as lucky, some of them being the Wattersons themselves. Before the walking fish we all know and love, there were 7 other Darwins, 4 of them who died at the hands of the Wattersons. Starting with Darwin the second, he replaced Darwin the first, but his time ended fast when Gumball's trampoline jump sent him flying out of his bowl. Then it was Darwin the third, who didn't stand a chance after falling off the Wattersons' car, after Nicole put him on the roof and forgot to buckle him in. Next came Darwin the fourth, who Richard tried painting orange so he would look like the past Darwins, which you can guess how that went. And lastly, there was Darwin the sixth, who, after a little mix-up with Nicole's vitamins, didn't make it either. But even then, those are just Darwins. After losing another one, Richard goes to replace it, only to find out that the last 2 jumped out of their tanks as soon as they saw him coming. So the Wattersons are not just a danger to Elmore, but also a danger to themselves, even when it's just pure accidents. But don't think the Wattersons' kills are all accidents, because sometimes they happen thanks to a little personal beef, with one of the biggest beefs in the entire show, Gumball versus Alan, or more like Gumball versus Gumball, because the truth is, Alan is the nicest balloon in all of Elmore, and wouldn't even hurt a fly if he tried, which is exactly why Gumball hates him, and any chance he gets, he turns Alan's balloon body into an excuse to pop him, with one of the best examples of Gumball's hatred being as early as season 3, where Gumball shows many signs of jealousy and insecurity. After many attempts to get the perfect school photo, he tries changing his appearance, all the way from training his face to get a tan, both of which backfire. So they go to the only person who has naturally gifted looks, Alan, only to ignore his advice and go ahead and restructure his whole face. And the moment he thinks Alan is somehow going to ruin it, Darwin steps in and pops him. And despite everything, Alan still finds a way to forgive them, which to Gumball is downright sickening, which shows just how deep this one-sided beef goes. And yes, that counts as a kill, because in Elmore, nobody can truly die if you're an important character. Just think of it like Kenny from South Park. Alan is also one of the many punching bags from the show, and has a constant gag of dying for absolutely no reason. And of course, at least one of the Wattersons are the culprit, so I'm just gonna save you some time and show you all of them. Gumball throws a rock at him, Nicole pops Alan with a single blow, Gumball pops him during their argument about going to school, Anais makes him pop by himself, Gumball pops him, Darwin pops him thinking he's Clayton in disguise, and finally Gumball pops him with the sharp tip of a pencil. But while Alan's death is just a running gag throughout the show, the Wattersons' doppelganger's death was truly real, and was the end of something much greater than just another joke. I'm talking about the Miracle Star family. When Gumball and Darwin are in the store making fun of the exotic food section, they catch two kids copying their every word and movement. Then they find out it's not just them, but the entire family. Everyone except Anais, because...
Women no right to celebrate in Republic of People.
But as they learn about their new doppelgangers, they find themselves face to face with them and start fighting them, only for every move to get perfectly matched. They even sing an entire song about just trying to be original, giving them a whole new fresh look. But that also doesn't work, so they decide if they want to copy their every single move, then they will live life in the most dangerous ways possible. And in Anais's own words, hope that they off themselves.
And hope they off themselves trying to copy you.
From bombs, juggling chainsaws, and donating a kidney, the Wattersons nearly kill themselves just to get these copycats gone from this world. But still, they somehow survive. So, as a last-ditch effort, they do the craziest thing imaginable. Steal a truck hauling a fuel tank, tearing towards an unfinished bridge with a flaming trail behind them. And as all hope seems lost, and the Wattersons realize just how screwed they are, Anais slips up, unhooks the fuel tank, and Nicole slams the brakes to save them at the last second. But without an Anais of their own, the doppelgangers fall straight to their death and disappear from the internet. It wasn't just the end of the incredible world of Chi-Chi, but the end of an entire real show named Miracle Star. And also, because you made it this far into the video, you might as well go down there and subscribe. But back to the Wattersons' kill count, things only get more explosive from here. Take the time Darwin meets a new friend, Julius, and is dragged through crime after crime by him and his gang, only to sabotage everything because of his pure-hearted innocence. From literally cleaning out an old woman's purse to a failed attempt at breaking and entering a public pool, Darwin is not the type of person to be a bad guy. But after ruining everything imaginable, he manages to fix it all back up, reuniting the gang, repairing Julius's relationship, right up until he gives Julius's parents a cake with sparklers, which, let's just say, causes a fireworks show nobody asked for. But But these explosions can go from simple fireworks to exploding from just pure anger, all from one of the family's most smartest, Anais. She might look sweet and innocent, but what she lacks in size, she makes up for with brains and pure chaos. When Gumball and Darwin find out their computer password is favorite child, and is somehow Anais instead of either of them, they spend the entire day trying to convince Richard that they should be his favorite. It turns out Anais was the one who set the password all along, leaving Gumball and Darwin so furious that their heads literally explode. But unlike most characters in this list, Gumball and Darwin have plot armor and can come back by the next episode like nothing ever happened. And the same can be said with pretty much everyone in Elmore. Like when Gumball was chasing Alan and his family, taking out anyone who crossed his path, there was one he couldn't get rid of so easily. And of course, it was Julius, basically a walking time bomb. So when Gumball expected him to just go kaboom like the others he's already taken out, it took a second, but he definitely exploded. If we ignore the next second, where the hospital looks completely fine, that would be at least a couple hundred deaths right there if you ask me. But now let's go to another massive explosion, one that could have easily been avoided if only they weren't so dumb. When Mr. Small feels he hasn't unlocked his full potential as a teacher, Gumball and Darwin ask him to inspire them, which brings a huge smile to his face. But you can guess how this goes completely wrong. After taking his advice to follow their dreams, and that there is no such thing as a bad idea, Darwin finds a better way to move throughout the school, using oil, which leads to a bunch of accidents. And when Bobbert is saving those who are injured, he accidentally lights up the school, triggering a total explosion. That's at least another 100 or so casualties from the explosion alone, if not more. But these are just the kills I found and could put into categories. There are some kills I just couldn't fit anywhere, so I'm gonna go over some of the most random and absolutely brutal deaths in the Gumball universe. Speaking of Gumball universe, subscribe. I know you didn't subscribe last time I asked. Come on, just please do it. Anyway, starting with some of the most random deaths on the list. We've got the time Gumball had a serious problem with Carrie taking over his body just to eat. She jumps into him, goes on a full-on junk food rampage, and by the next morning, Gumball looked like he was Richard at an all-day buffet. And when Gumball wakes up once again in the same position he did before, he knows this type of behavior needs to stop. So Darwin tries to help Gumball by making him drink the most cursed concoction ever brewed. And when Gumball shows up to class the next day, his breath is so toxic it straight up kills people on the spot. All because Carrie couldn't resist one more sandwich. But sometimes the deaths are so sudden, you don't even get a chance to process what happened. Like when Gumball and Darwin head back to the locker room after gym. They mess around a bit before getting changed, and Gumball realizes he grabbed someone else's bag, and the only thing inside is a single piece of string. With nothing else to wear, he walks home in just the bag, but not on his little Watterson, on the top of his head. So when they run into Idaho, before they can even say hi, he explodes and turns into mashed potatoes. But now that leaves us with just some of the most brutal deaths in the entire series. One fueled by jealousy and revenge, and the other being pure world domination. First, you've got the time someone stole Gumball's spot as the main character, and almost changed the entire show that we all know and love. When Gumball takes a sitcom quiz and gets labeled a loser, he tries to become more popular by doing the exact opposite of what he'd normally do. But when he takes it too literally, he decides he will hold in his usual Gumballism instead, which is just Darwin's name for when Gumball says the most random, uncalled for, mean stuff to people. And Gumball actually makes it almost the whole day without letting any of it slip. Looking worse the longer he keeps it in. That was until Tobias shows up and steals his entire loser role. And the second Tobias steps in and takes his girl, Gumball finally lets all of that Gumballism out of him, burning his entire face off. But if you thought that was brutal, imagine turning into a life where Nicole rules the entire world and turns it into a wasteland. When Nicole finally snaps after your average night at the Watterson's household and time freezes around her, she realizes realizes that everything went wrong the moment she had met Richard. So we jump back to her childhood as she races to a karate tournament. She imagines alternative lives with Banana Bob and Harold. But what if she had just gone for the tournament and won? Well, she would have become unstoppable. Graduate, get rich, become president, and then become a dictator, only to get overthrown in the end. It's hard to know how many lives would have been lost if Nicole was in power, but based on her position, strength, and history, we could easily say that a couple million people would have lost their lives during her reign of power. And while it was all just a what if moment, we all know that if Nicole actually wanted to, she could have easily done it, which is why we will definitely include it. But while that could have been the most brutal time in the entire world, that's not even the only deaths that happened in Nicole's mind. After picturing herself as a full-on dictator, she thought about a life with Banana Bob, which ends up with her slowly losing her mind from his non-stop banana singing. So she imagines a life with Tobias's dad, Harold, which quickly goes south. He treats her like garbage, nothing she does is enough, and eventually she snaps, burning their entire mansion down over a plate of cold sushi. So if a cold plate of sushi is what pushed her over the edge, just imagine if she was a dictator. But that's enough with the kills. This is the final kill count of the Watterson family. Type a rip in the comments for all of the lives lost in this video. And to lift up your spirits, you should watch the video that's on screen. I'm sure you'll love it.